UFC superstar Conor McGregor finds himself in yet another controversy. As per a tweet by MMA manager Daniel Rubenstein, the Notorious has allegedly replaced some of the Ultimate Fighter 31 contestants with his own fighters. Earlier this month, UFC president Dana White announced that McGregor and Michael Chandler will serve as coaches on the hit reality TV show before their eagerly anticipated showdown. The Notorious recently arrived in Las Vegas to start filming after he was seen entering the UFC Apex on Thursday. But just a day later, sports agent Danny Rubenstein claimed that several fighters had been removed from TUF 31 and replaced by McGregor's SBG teammates. Rubenstein's post read, Ken Cross, Mitch Ramirez, and Brandon Jenkins all got pulled off to make room for 3 of Conor's guys to be on the show. As MMA news outlets began to run with the story, Curtis claimed that it was true and revealed he actually knew a couple of the people removed from the show because of Gregor. He wrote in a series of tweets, "Most definitely true. What a asshole. 2 friends of mine got bumped. Coaches always reserve spots for their guys. I've never seen anyone who was already selected get bumped. That is new." In a since-deleted tweet, Mystic Mac claimed that Curtis has it wrong and insisted he did not have anyone removed from TUF 31 to make way for his teammates. McGregor wrote, "Not true. I only know one guy on this show and he put himself forward for it. And he is now, after today, set to fight the #1 seed. I didn't ask nor request nothing, and I certainly didn't have people removed. I'm just trying to get back in the mix myself, so f***." The UFC middleweight contender was not buying McGregor's response. Curtis replied, "Cool excuse. Still kinda weird he shows up with the exact number of guys who got bumped. F***." Reacting to claims brought against McGregor, a host of UFC fighters and current training partners of the Dubliner shared their respective thoughts on the accusations. Sadiq Youssef tweeted, "Sucks for those guys that got kicked. Being 100 with y'all though, I would do the same for my peoples if I could." Gilbert Burns tweeted, "Not fear with Loic. Now more than ever, F this guy." Bellator MMA featherweight and teammate of McGregor, Sinead Kavanaugh tweeted, "And apologies to absolutely no one king." Former UFC bantamweight Jay Perrin tweeted, "Feel bad for all the guys that got their chance at being on TUF, but Conor wanted his buddies to get some screen time, so they just had to go fuck themselves. Otherwise, McGregor would leave the show." The UFC is yet to confirm the official lineup for the latest Ultimate Fighter series, but it is expected to be its biggest in years due to McGregor's involvement. In 2015, he appeared on the show alongside Elijah Faber, and it ended up being one of the most popular seasons of the long-running reality show. Fans will be hoping he can deliver some hilarious moments again ahead of his first fight since fracturing his tibia and fibula at UFC 246 in July 2021. The UFC has issued an important reminder to fighters surrounding IV use. After UFC 284, lightweight champion Islam Makhachev was accused by fellow lightweight Dan Hooker of using intravenous therapy to rehydrate after weigh-ins for his main event championship bout against Alexander Volkanovski in Perth, Australia. Makhachev's team denied Hooker's claim, telling MMA Junkie the accusations were completely BS. However, the situation sparked conversations about IV use under the US Anti-Doping Agency, prompting the promotion to clear up any confusion about what is permitted by issuing a reminder of the UFC anti-doping program's rules to the fighter roster. The initial rules prohibiting IV use were implemented in 2015, but were adjusted in 2019. The UFC's senior VP of Athlete Health and Performance, Jeff Nowitzki, recently took to Twitter to explain the use of IV in the UFC. In a series of tweets, Nowitzki explained the circumstances under which IV can be used, the acceptable amount permitted, and the mandatory requirement for athletes to disclose its use. Fighters are allowed infusions or injections of non-prohibited substances as long as the volume of fluid administered did not exceed 50 milliliters per 6-hour period and 100 milliliters per 12-hour period. All IVs of more than 50 milliliters in or out of competition are prohibited at all times, except for those legitimately received in the course of hospital admissions, surgical procedures, or clinical investigations without an approved TUE. In addition, all prohibited substances administered by injection or IV required a TUE, whether above or below 50 milliliters. But while this seems to help Makhachev, his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, made a tweet corroborating the same. Ali Abdelaziz then tweeted and deleted what sure sounded like an admission. For all those idiots out there, any fighter under the UFC banner can take 2 to 3 liters of IV, as long as it's done by a nurse or professional, he wrote in a tweet, which was only up for a few minutes before disappearing. Next week, I'm gonna expose everybody. Islam Makhachev is the pound-for-pound king. However, Makhachev has spoken out and come clean from his end, further emphasizing the need for transparency in the hour. During an interview with Red Corner MMA, Makhachev responded to the allegations made by Dan Hooker, stating that nobody has any problem with him and that he has done nothing wrong. Makhachev said, "Some fighters are trying to push this narrative, but the UFC and the US ADA have no issues with me." These accusations continue to circulate in the fighting community, leaving a cloud of suspicion hanging over Makhachev's victory. Logan Paul has admitted he would be open to facing Paddy Pimblett as he eyes up a potential fight in the UFC. The YouTube star has previously revealed he would like to try a range of combat sports. In addition to his bouts in the boxing ring, Paul recently appeared at WWE's Wrestlemania 38 event, where he teamed up with The Miz to defeat Rey Mysterio and his son Dominik. During an interview with the MMA Hour, the American stated he would now like to try his hand in the octagon and eyed up Paddy the Baddy as an opponent he would like to face. "I have found out who I would like to fight if I did a UFC match, Paddy the Baddy. They say he is the next Conor McGregor, right? He is super charismatic and entertaining as hell. He is on the come up and young like me and has a real loudmouth. I like the way he can perform." Well, Paddy Pimblett is not the type to hear insults and not give a reply. Speaking to UFC reporters, he said,
Logan Paul was talking about me the other week. Just shows, doesn't it? Even YouTubers are talking about me because they know who the boy is.
Paddy was asked about Logan Paul's statements, and he said,
"Because a couple of months ago he messaged me calling me a clout chaser. And who's the clout chaser now, son? Who's clout chasing who? Know what I mean? Everyone knows what I do to him."
In a recent interview he did with Kiss 1065, Paul discussed his feelings over the prospect of taking on Paddy Pimblett. Logan stated that he had been trying to find a deal to fight Paddy, but the British boxer never showed any interest in fighting him due to the UFC contract. The issue is he's locked up in his UFC contract, and to get him out of that to come box me would be an issue. I would happily go to the UFC, but we are in different weight classes. If he's willing to come up to my weight class in the UFC, I'd be more than happy to beat the shit out of Paddy the Baddy. Pimblett the Baddy, during an interview with Jamal Nais for Seconds Out, shared his opinion in response to Logan's fight offer, saying, "I've told you all, he knows who the boy is. He knows who the face of the UFC is now, and it's me. I don't care what weight he wants to fight at. I'd fight him at 185. I'd probably get him down to 175 or something." The UFC is not the type of organization to do freak shows, but with the current unpredictability of the organization, one can't tell. But what I can tell is that you haven't subscribed to our channel. Click the subscribe button and like and drop a comment.